You're listening to Relating with Jen Funk, where we are getting honest about the relationships that matter most. If you want stronger, more connected relationships with the people you love, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Relating with Jen Funk. I am Jen, relationship coach and your host, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. We are going to be talking about what's happening behind the scenes of relationships, the stuff we all go through, but we don't always talk about. So today's Ask Jen episode has 3 questions that I know that you will all relate to, or so many of you will, because we are talking about that unsettling feeling of disconnection and how to tell if it's just a busy season in life or is it something deeper. And we're also going to talk about what to do when you and your partner have completely different parenting styles. And finally, some fun and creative date night ideas that will not break the budget. So wherever you are, whether you're walking or you're driving or maybe you're folding laundry, I just love that you're here with me, and let's get started. So question number 1 says, I feel emotionally disconnected from my husband and can't tell if it's just a busy season or something deeper. How do I know the difference? All right. So this is such a powerful question because every couple will hit periods of disconnection, sometimes many times a year, right? Life just gets busy. We get distracted. We lose focus on our relationships. And sometimes we just let them coast on autopilot. We all do it at some point in time. It's normal to do that. But the key is noticing it and then reaching for each other again to bring yourselves back to each other and to connection. So the question of how do we know the difference if it's just normal disconnection that happens from time to time, or is it something bigger? I think the important thing here is to recognize what kind of disconnection that you're in so that you can respond to it instead of being reactive. So there's the kind that comes from, like I said, just being busy, like you're both just doing life, you're managing work or kids or routines, but you're not really seeing each other so much. So the connection is still there underneath. It's just kind of buried. And then there's that deeper kind of disconnection where it really becomes a pattern and you stay in it and nothing changes for a long time. And attempts to connect don't go so well. Like you reach out to your partner to reconnect, but it falls flat. You start getting a minimal response or no response at all when you reach out. It doesn't feel warm anymore. You definitely feel like roommates. There's probably not a lot of physical intimacy, certainly no emotional intimacy. So I guess, how do you tell which one you're in? I would start with asking yourself these questions. First is, when was the last time that you laughed with your partner or shared something intimate about how you feel about something rather than just logistics? The second question would be, when you argue, do you repair and reconnect after the argument so both of you feel heard and understood? Or do you avoid arguments altogether? Or do you have the argument and then you both go your separate ways? It's never resolved and you just don't even want to deal with it. And I think the third one would be, again, when you try to connect with your partner, do you get engagement back? Like if you were to say, hey, I really miss us, does your partner say, yes, I do too, but I don't know what to do about it? Do you get some engagement, or is it just defensiveness? Like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. We just had dinner last night. That would sound like defensiveness. So those 3 questions can help you gauge what kind of emotional disconnection you're in. I think if you can still laugh sometimes and still find your way back to each other after conflicts or find some shared moments of teamwork in there throughout, you're probably just in, busy season disconnection that happens to all of us. And of course, the fix there is to be intentional again about reconnecting. Do your daily check-ins. I tell all the couples I work with to take at least 10 minutes a day of uninterrupted time where you're talking about life and how you feel about things, and there's no phone or no TV. It's not about logistics. Do that every day. I also suggest a minimum of 4 physical touches during the day, hug and kiss in the morning and at night and different times throughout the day. That intentional effort to reconnect usually will bring a couple out of these short periods of disconnection due to busyness or putting the relationship on autopilot. But if you are avoiding conflict, if you're avoiding each other, if you can feel resentment building up, you're resenting your partner, or you're starting to lose hope and wondering, are we even going to make it here? That is emotional withdrawal. That's when it's really important to address it directly. Do not wait for it to go away or get better. It does not. It doesn't magically get better when you are emotionally withdrawn from your partner. So start out by just calling it out and telling your partner, "Hey, I really miss us. I feel like we are off. Can we have a conversation about it? Can we talk about it?" And you'll learn a lot from the response of your partner. If they lean into that, then there's still a lot of connection there. You just need to revive it and be focused and intentional, bringing that to the forefront. You've got something to build on. But if they pull away or they minimize it, then that is where you really need to reach out for some help, whether that is through coaching or getting couples therapy. A professional can help you reestablish emotional safety and emotional connection. So remember, connection doesn't just happen when life gets easier. If you're waiting for an easier period of time or a slower period of time, that's not going to work. It happens when both people are really intentional and make space for it, even when life is really full and really busy. And remember, it's not a sign of failure to feel disconnected. All couples go through this at different points in time, but it is a signal to slow down and work to realign yourselves and reconnect. All right, let's go on to question number 2. This one says, my husband and I have totally different parenting styles. I am strict, he is lenient, and I am tired of always being the bad guy with our kids. How do we meet in the middle? All right. I know this one hits home for so many couples. And honestly, it's one of the top stress points that I see in my coaching business with parents because parenting doesn't just challenge our patience, it also activates our history, right? It's how we were raised, what we believe makes a good parent or a bad parent, and how safety and love looked in our homes and in our families as we were growing up. That informs the kind of parent that we are. I mean, I always say that for good or bad, I am the mother I am because of what my parents did or didn't do. So before you try to fix the behavior of your partner, try to understand what the belief is underneath it. So, for instance, ask each other, what is the value behind your parenting style? For example, if you are the more structured parent, then maybe that comes from wanting to raise really responsible kids that follow through. Maybe you were left to figure it out yourself growing up and you wish that you had someone that might have pushed you to make sure you were doing the things that you needed to do to create better opportunities for your future. If your partner is more relaxed, let's say, maybe that comes from wanting kids who feel really loved and confident. Maybe that's the priority and that's the value. And certainly that can happen with kids who had parents that were emotionally absent. That becomes the priority. So if you look at it, those values they're not opposites. They're actually complementary values: responsibility and confidence, structure and fun. And you need all of that to raise well-rounded human beings. So I would suggest 3 practices. Let's do 3 steps to kind of aligning with your partner. The first thing is to get together and create, what are your non-negotiables? What are the few rules that you both agree on completely? Like maybe it's respect and how they talk to you, or maybe it's safety. Like if you've got young adults in the house that might be out drinking, it's a non-negotiable that no one gets behind the wheel when they've been drinking, or they always call home so that you can come and get them. Maybe it's bedtime. Maybe it's the actual time that the kids go to bed. Maybe that's a non-negotiable. And that's where consistency matters the most, those things that are so important that you're not going to negotiate those. And then the second step is to allow flexibility in the other areas. So, it's okay if mom's rule is we don't have any TV on during dinner time. We all sit down as a family and we talk, no TV. But when mom's out, If dad's home with the kids and there's a big game on and dad wants to put the TV on, that's okay too. Kids are resilient. They can handle the small differences between mom and dad and still feel emotionally secure. It's okay if there's some small differences like that. And then the third thing, and this is really the most important one, is to never correct each other in front of your kids. Again, this is the biggest one because it really does make one parent look like the bad cop and then confuses the kids about who's really in charge here. So have your disagreement with your spouse later in private. And when you do, you want to make sure that you are leading with curiosity and not trying to be critical. So it might be, hey, can we talk about how that conversation went with our son? I felt like when you said this, it kind of undermined my authority with them. Can we talk about how we might be able to do that better next time? Those conversations are important, but it's important that you do not do that in front of the kids or call each other out. You're going to wait and have those discussions behind closed doors later on because for your children, you are a united front. And one last thing would be give each other credit, right? Parenting is so hard. And when you see your partner doing something right, maybe they were extra patient with one of your kids, maybe they were teaching some fabulous life skill that they're going to need to know, or just calming one of your kids that's having a tantrum or an emotional episode, whatever it might be, if you see it, say it out loud. Appreciation feels good to everyone. So tell your partner, hey, I noticed when you did that, you did a great job with him. Those are deposits in the emotional bank account, right? And it keeps you working as a team with your partner. All right, let's move on to question number 3. This is about, let's see, date nights on a budget. Here we go. It says, we want to plan more date nights, but we have a limited budget. So we never know what to do besides dinner, and we don't really want to spend the money to go out to dinner every week. Any fun or creative ideas for us? Yes, I have many. I love this question because it really proves something important. You do not need to have a lot of money to feel connected with your partner. You just need to be intentional. So, the most powerful date nights are often the ones that are the most simple because the goal isn't about a luxurious experience. The goal is just being present for your partner. So here are a few ideas that I know have worked with some of the couples that I work with that they love. And I also have a whole list of other ideas. So I can send them to you if you want to reach out to me at jenfunkcoaching.com or send me an email. I'd be happy to send them to you. But here's a few highlights that people tend to like. This first one is called the $5 challenge. I guess it would be $10 total. So what it is each of you take $5 and you take 15 minutes, give yourself a timer. You go into the dollar store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, whatever's near you, and you each buy something small or a few things, right? 'Cause you got $5. You go in and buy a few things that are small that represent your partner or something that will make them laugh. So, like if one of you is cleaning all the time, maybe you go in and get one of those little dustpan sets or a candy bar because you're so sweet. I don't know. I'm making those up, but it can be anything. And then you go home, you trade your gifts, and then you explain why you picked it for the other one. It's silly, I know, but it also builds connection through laughter and thoughtfulness because you had to really think about what you were going to purchase your partner. Another idea would be do the travel at home date, right? Pick a country, whether it's someplace that you have already been and want to reminisce about the trip, or it's someplace that you would really love to go. And you just build a theme night around it. Go grab takeout, go, do an Italian night and go get takeout pasta or make it at home and have wine and music and pretend you're in Italy or do a Mexican night and do tacos. You can even watch a travel video on YouTube or something while you're cooking or while you're eating dinner. Just be creative with it, right? Another idea would be the memory lane walk. So, yes, you can always go for a walk with your partner, but what if every block you each take turns coming up with different memories? So, maybe it's talking about how you first met, and then the next block, someone talks about their favorite vacation or something that your partner said that was so funny, you just laughed and laughed. Nostalgia, like, rebuilds emotional intimacy. And it's just a creative way to take a walk. You can do that even just asking different questions, right? Every block, ask a new question. Another idea would be game nights, right? Try a board game or trivia night or do They have those games, those couples cards with all the different questions that you can ask. I also have a list of tons of questions for couples. If you want me to send those to you, just reach out. But doing an at-home game night, it costs nothing and you're usually laughing, or maybe it's bringing up your competitive spirit, but game nights can be fun. Another idea would be pick a new recipe together and cook dinner together. Even if it's just something simple like homemade pizza. Being in the kitchen together, it encourages teamwork and playfulness. You can put on some fun music and dance around the kitchen while you're cooking, but do a date night cooking at home. And then a final idea is do a music night. So Casey and I love music, and you can pull up your phones, maybe grab a glass of wine, go sit out on the deck or a patio if you have it, or just in the living room in front of the fire since it's going to be getting cool out. But each of you take turns playing one of your favorite songs that you've had over your lifetime, and you play it for your partner, and then you talk about what was happening in your life and why you connected. Why did that song mean so much to you at that time? We all have those songs. You can hear it and go back to when you're like 16 and you just remember what was happening in your life, and share that with your partner. There's so many different ideas of what you can do. You sit down and have a brainstorming session, and you guys both get really creative about different ideas. I mean, the key here is consistency. It doesn't have to be glamorous or luxury, like I said, and don't overthink it or wait for the perfect night. Just pick one night a week, call it your connection night, and protect it like it is an appointment. Put it on your calendar, protect that night. Again, not fancy, but definitely focused attention, time with your partner without distractions. And when you start doing that regularly, you will notice that spark start creeping back into your relationship. It can be really fun. All right, that is it for today. Disconnection, discipline, date nights, we've covered it. These are the 3 areas that show up in every relationship, but just in different ways. So I think the takeaway here is that connection does not happen by accident. It is built through awareness and being curious and those small daily moments of turning towards each other. So if you have a question that you would like me to answer on a future Ask Jen episode, please send it in. Next month, it's going to be December, so I would love some holiday-related questions would be great. You can submit them through my website. Again, it's jenfunkcoaching.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at jenfunkcoaching. And as always, I just thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and share or leave a review or comment. All of these things help other people find the show, so I would greatly appreciate it. Till next time, I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining me on Relating with Jen Funk. To find out how we can work together and get free resources to strengthen your relationships, head to jenfunkcoaching.com and sign up for my newsletter. Till then, stay connected, stay encouraged, and I'll see you next week.